Hey, everybody, thanks for listening to Durables Digest episode 10. In this episode, you'll hear Brian and I joined again by Stacy Hughes as we talk about Amazon and Amazon's earnings call. We're going to dive into market data from Durable IQ, details about the recent earnings call, and the extent of the Amazon portfolio, which is pretty massive. We'll talk about what that means for all the other retailers and how Stacy thinks it's ultimately Amazon's world and we're just living in it.
My name is Brian Lamar. Joining me, as always, so far at least, Eric Voyer. Hello, sir.
Hey, Brian. Hello. How are you?
Great. Good to see you. And special guest who's going to soon be a permanent guest, I hope, Stacy Hughes. How are you?
I'm well, Brian. Thank you. We'll negotiate those terms later. I'm not sure about permanent guest.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. We'll definitely negotiate that. Exciting episode today. I think it is, at least. We get to talk about Amazon. And, recently we spoke about Lowe's earnings calls and about Home Depot earnings calls. And we all had a homework to listen to the Amazon earnings call, which was wonderful. Did you all listen to? Did you do your homework? Did you listen to the call? What did you think? Just high-level thoughts.
Yes, I definitely listened to it. I may have listened to it 3 times.
Oh,
yeah. It was there was a lot to take in there, and I guess for me the bottom line is it's Amazon's world and we're just living in it.
That'll be the theme for the next 20-30 minutes.
Right?
Eric, really high level. We'll get to some data bites after this.
Yeah, I listened to it. I thought it was good. I was struck by the amount of other things that Amazon does, Amazon Web Services and Gen AI and all the different things. So I did a little digging into that a little bit further, which a lot of our listeners probably already know all of those things, but some of them don't. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about some of those things that they're into and maybe why they're into them.
Sounds good. Let's get into some data bites. We try to talk about data every episode. I pulled up something. We had our monthly data come out today. So for May, and most people know us for our quarterly survey. We also have a monthly survey that tracks lots of other different things. And I was going to quiz. I will quiz Stacy really quickly.
Oh boy.
Are you ready, Stacy?
I'm ready.
Okay. In the baby strollers category, where would Amazon rank in terms of retailer, offline and online, just overall? Where do you think Amazon ranks in baby strollers?
I would say probably number 2.
Number 2, correct. Number 2, and they're really edging up close to Walmart, which is kind of crazy to me.
I was going to say, actually, that Walmart was probably number 1.
And you would think that Walmart is one of those categories. We talked off air about this, that you'd want to go see it. I want to see the baby stroller. Can I throw it up against the wall? But number 2 on Amazon, that's really crazy, and it's a credit to them. Last question, Stacy. Bathroom scales, where does Amazon rank there in terms of retailer?
Oh, goodness. I'll be honest, I think I actually ordered my bathroom scale from Amazon, so I would say number 1.
Number 2 to Walmart. And that's kind of a theme, and all the data I looked at was Amazon and Walmart are really, shouldn't be a big surprise to people. Just about every category I felt like it was pretty close, especially after COVID started.
Interesting.
All right, let's talk about Amazon and the earnings call. I'll tell you I didn't give you my thoughts. I agree with both of you all. Stacy, you said it's Amazon's world. We're just living in it. Eric, you were surprised at all the services and categories they're in. I could not believe all of the terms that Amazon, all the products they sell. And I'm a Prime member. We're all Prime members. And I could not believe I probably know very little of what Amazon actually sells. I go to Amazon, I buy something, it comes tomorrow. That's how I think about Amazon. Every once in a while, I watch a TV show. But they are just everywhere. Were you all aware of that? You've done this longer than I have. Eric, were you aware of this?
Yeah, like all of us, we let these large retailers permeate so many brands and retailers, not just retailers, Apple, for instance, or Google, for instance, permeates so many parts of our lives. I wasn't really surprised by it. I don't want to say that as a blanket statement, though, because when I think about how much of the business side that they're focused on as well, That did surprise me a little bit because, again, this was actually the first Amazon earnings call I have listened to. So I thank you for giving me that homework. I really actually enjoyed it. So on the business side, yes. On the consumer side, no, I wasn't surprised. I know a lot of shoppers will start their shopping journey on Amazon because they've got the reviews that are there, they've got the product selection that's there. So they can actually find different products that may not have existed or they may not have known existed, and then they can go to other websites. So it doesn't surprise me on the consumer side.
Stacy, any thoughts about
Yeah,
Amazon in general? Were you aware of that?
I was not actually. I mean, I know obviously we talked about the 3 products I just picked up off my front porch. I've used Amazon a lot. For me, it's a time saver, right? We've talked about that before in terms of the paradigm shift and how folks are shopping now. But I really had no idea that they were, integrated into pharmacy, all the IT tools that they have, new products like SageMaker and Bedrock. Like those were things I had to go look up and do some additional research on. It was crazy the amount of things that they seem to have added to their portfolio in terms of serving the customer.
So 1994, right? That's when Amazon really kind of came onto the scene with books, right? That was kind of what they started doing. What else are they in now, guys? Everybody list one thing that you know they're in, then we'll just kind of loop through.
Groceries.
Yep.
Whole Foods Market.
Yeah.
Whole Foods. Yeah, so not just grocery, but a retailer. They make product. There's one. So tech products like Kindle Fires, and they used to make a phone. What else? Stacy?
Video. Pharmacy.
Video and pharmacy.
AWS is huge.
Yep.
Web services.
They're an ad platform. That's one of their newest things. They talked about that a lot in there.
We talked about this, Stacey, was the Q. That's just crazy. All the generative GPT AI stuff, huge. They're really big into that, which is what I'd hope from a retailer like that, investing in that and making our lives easier, hopefully. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah. Don't forget, they're also a satellite company, right? Kuiper.
That's true.
Yeah, they're trying to launch that. That's not out there yet, but they're also trying to provide broadband to people. But, Brian, you mentioned them as a retailer, and that's true, but they're way more than that. That's the thing that we have to keep in mind, is that they're more than just a retailer. That's about 43% of their business. But then, and it's the largest chunk as a whole. But then there's these other pieces, the media and the ads and all of those things that make up the other piece of the business. So it's pretty interesting to think about them as a retailer, and then all of these other things. They really have a transferable or liquid network effect, where what they do is they start in a category, like let's ship books. And then what they do is they build out the delivery system for shipping those books, which then suddenly magically becomes applicable for other products and services. And I think that's one of the things that, to me, as I listen to this and as I really analyze what Amazon does, makes them really exceptional, is they seem to be able to see into the future. They seem to be able to plan ahead and build these strategies in place for 10 years down the line, like Apple does, like a lot of the great companies do, of course. But I love how they do that, how they use that transferable effect, that network effect, to be able to apply what they've done here and leverage that into other products. Didn't work all the time. I mean, they had, Amazon Register, Amazon Web Pay, the Fire Phone, Amazon Wallet. They had a bunch of stuff that didn't work. And that takes up a lot of their capital expenditures. But when they do work, it becomes pretty powerful.
What do you think that means, Eric, when you look into the future for other retailers, other big box players that are in this space?
Well, you're seeing it. I mean, you're seeing people like, if you think about durables in our space, you're seeing people like Best Buy, for instance, that's selling barbecue grills and patio furniture and things like that. The endless aisle allows them to, expand their revenue opportunities. They've already built the infrastructure and they built those other things. Walmart's doing the same thing, right? I mean, Walmart's tried a few different things, some of which Amazon is doing now, whether it's pharmacy or optical or whatever the case might be. So I think, it's really, first off, it's really hard to get that big. and be successful at it. Let's keep that in mind. I mean, Sears was selling houses, for God's sake, at one point. Like literally ship a house to your lot and then you build it on there, and then that fell apart over the course of the next 100 years. So it is really hard to get there, but if you really want to be huge, that's one way to do it.
Speaking of huge, I could not believe these numbers here. Operating income grew to $15.3 billion in Q1 of 2024. That's a billion with a B in one quarter. It was $4.8 billion. That's not a small number either last year. So it went up a huge amount over year, tripled year over year. It's just amazing. I focus a lot on retail. I know that's not a huge part of their business any longer. It's probably not where their huge amount of growth will come from. And this is kind of an interesting tidbit I found, and shouldn't probably focus as much as I did on it. 587 brick and mortar stores worldwide. Like, oh my gosh, 587. Well, 500 of those are the Whole Foods. And, they've been trying out this Amazon Go and the Amazon Books and these 4 stars and these pop-up stores. Some of them in hit or miss. They've kind of gone back and forth with a little bit of this stuff. But I thought about this from a lens of, are they going to go after washing machines and dishwashers and lawnmowers and build up a real durable appliance store that will really go at Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart and Best Buy and those kind of categories? I think they were trying to push that way. I think they're backing off a little bit. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think they absolutely will try and get into those. I mean, I think they started and then they backed off, and it's kind of one of these things, you dip your toe in the water and figure out, okay, well, this is maybe what we need to do next. So yeah, I think absolutely it's an area of opportunity for them. Because those are high ticket prices and they want those high tickets as well. But that the delivery system isn't necessarily set up for them right now. You've got the folks like the Home Depots that have leveraged manufacturers' distribution systems already to make sure that they can get products in people's hands. But again, it's about the transferable network. Start small. So I do see an opportunity there for them. I mean, we talked about SRS a couple of podcasts ago, Home Depot's acquisition of that so they can use their distribution system. That's one of the biggest challenges on appliances is people don't have a way to get a refrigerator from the store into their home and actually install it and then get the old one out. So once they solve some of these challenges, it's from an appliance standpoint, at least, it's going to be definitely a competitor, in my opinion.
That's a little scary for me, but it's probably scary for a lot of people. Stacy, what were some highlights that you found when you were doing your research on this?
I felt like they talked a lot in their call about focusing on the customer experience. And what is interesting to me is understanding the paradigm shift and how people are shopping. Like I've said earlier in the call, I need time-saving options. So for me to order online and have it shipped to my house directly and not be charged for that, that's amazing. But I really feel like when I talk about customer experience, and there are certain products that I probably wouldn't purchase on Amazon, right? Eric, we talked about that a little bit earlier this week, because I might think that maybe the quality isn't the same. So they've talked a lot on their call about partnering with some higher end brands and pulling those into their space. But for me, I would doubt that those were actually all authentic. That's just a personal female thing that would definitely cause me pause on, higher end clothing, some makeup or cosmetic or skincare items that would also cause me pause. But in terms of the customer experience overall, I want to be able to touch and shop and be in store. To me, that's what the experience is. I don't see it as the transaction itself about like logging into the app, clicking it, putting it in my basket and checking out. That's a different type of customer experience for me. I don't know what your take is on that. It's probably very different across genders, maybe. Guys are, easier shoppers probably than female to please a female consumer.
Brian, do you have any concerns about fraud or fake products or anything like that on Amazon?
I have some slight concerns, but generally I will buy about anything on Amazon. And
Yeah.
I think, Stacey, we'd love the 4-star store. I've never seen one, but they only carry 4-star products, so you could probably trust it more. Um, I'm fascinated by the use of customer service and the new technology where you can go and you have cameras and sensors and you just kind of leave. You don't see anybody, you don't have to talk to anybody, you just kind of grab something and leave. But there's privacy. They mentioned this on the call. Privacy concerns. Privacy infringement among consumers are already worried about this big tech data stuff. That's going to be something they're going to have to tackle. Everyone's going to have to tackle this. But yeah, I'll buy anything online, Eric. Just about anything.
Yeah. But you read the reviews first.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll even read the reviews.
Yeah. Okay. So is brand important to you, Brian? As a general rule, is brand important to you?
Brand is less important now than it was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If it does have a 4-star review and as a good price, I will certainly buy it. I don't even look at the brand much more than I used to.
Yeah.
But we have some, how many tens of thousands of different sellers are on Amazon?
Right.
There used to be so limited options, and now you don't even know what half the brand names are. And I don't
they're
really
the same
care.
product. Half the time they're the same product.
Right.
They're just one's green and one's blue.
Right.
It's definitely different from buying like a Temu or an Alibaba or something along those lines, where you can have 100 5-star reviews and you get the product and it's not anything like what it was. And then you go back and you read the reviews and they were really for a different product anyway. So Amazon's a little bit different. They have a little bit more equity, in my opinion, on that.
Yep. I had a bad experience recently with Amazon. Now, should I mention this on the podcast?
Well, it depends. Who's listening?
Just CEOs and
perfect. Yeah, tell us.
VIPs all around in the space. So I ordered something and I accidentally sent it to my ex-wife's house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not a big deal, but it's not her house anymore. She moved, and so it was already like in the process to be delivered. So I chatted with them. They're like, we can't do anything about it. So I called them. They're like, we can't do anything about it. So what I did was, I'm like, this is really bad service. It's on the truck. I'm like, there's got to be a way to stop it. I went to the delivery notes part of it, and I typed to the driver, do not deliver this product. And I put it on every product, and whoever that driver was did not deliver it. And I kept getting notices. They're trying to deliver. And I'm like, do not deliver. But it worked out for me. So I found a little workaround for the customer service, which is something they probably have to clean up. People sending to the wrong address or bought something they didn't want. And, shipping is so fast. Sometimes it's too fast.
Yeah. Right.
Like I had no chance.
Yeah. So, one of the things they talked about on the earnings call is reducing, increasing efficiencies, right? Putting more things in a single box. I found that interesting. I particularly as a consumer, that's important to me. And they mentioned that, Stacey, you mentioned the customer experience. So they're trying to enhance that customer experience. And to your point, there are still frustrations and pain points. But gosh, when you think about a company that big, there's bound to be many, right? And to be able to address them, Brian, and have a successful experience that's a good thing for a company of that size, for sure.
What do you guys think about, so for me, I do a lot of returns from my Amazon purchases because it's so quick and easy to get some of these things. If I need something for our house and I'm not sure, I order a couple, right? And so I have a lot of returns. Well, they've definitely made the return process a lot easier, but I mean, am I the only one that's doing that? Certainly not. I feel like, how is that impacting their business and what does that look like for them in the future? Because I do return a lot of stuff.
I think I don't do what you do. I order a few products and I don't order 3 knowing I'm going to return one, but I do have returns. I love the customer service on the returns is amazing how they partnered with, I think it's Kohl's and Office Depot, and it's really streamlined. So they're prepared for it. It feels like I've always had good service. Eric?
I hate it. I think their return window is too short. 30 days for me is a huge pain in the neck, particularly if I'm trying to plan for something, plan a project. As you guys know, I'm a home improvement freak. And so what I'll do is I'll sit down and kind of plan out the materials and things that I need for the project. And sometimes I order something and then the project changes and I miss that 30-day window. And I can't stand that. Whereas if I go to a brick and mortar store, I always feel like I have a much better opportunity to return a product there. Now I know I can call customer service, but that 30-day return window for me is awful. Great story. I was putting umbrellas up in my backyard, and I bought this umbrella mount, but I bought two of them. And then I saw 2 days later a different version of it, and I thought, that's what I need. So I bought that, intending to return the other one. Didn't install either one of them for 31 days, missed the return window. I'm out in the backyard trying to give away an extra umbrella stand to my neighbors. I'm like, do you want this? I ordered, I can't return it. So I've lost a lot of money from that 30-day, very narrow return window, and it drives me bonkers.
I wonder if that's because you're kind of a pro. You would think people like Stacy and I were ordering stuff and opening up immediately. We'll know if we want to return it almost immediately. Whereas pros might take a little longer to kind of get there. And I wonder if they need to adapt that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so let's say you're on the Whole Foods side too, and you order a bag of rye flour, and you think you're going to use it, you don't use it for a month.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is terrible. Now, again, they have exceptions to the return policy, and they're pretty good when you get on the chat with them. But still, to me, it's kind of a pain in the neck. I'd rather, because I'm going to Kroger all the time, I'd rather just bring it with me and go to the return desk or the service desk and drop it off. But that's just me being a negative Nancy. I'm always negative. I'm not.
Amazon, you said it's Amazon's world. We're just living in it. Any kind of thoughts that we haven't hit on that you want to bring up and that you did in your research and made you feel that way?
No, I mean, I think we've definitely touched on, the things I was thinking about. I had no idea the other industries and platforms that they had expanded into, beyond, what we know them for. And so that was something that I don't know. I think about the future, what it means for other retailers. And while I understand that they, are able to partner with other retailers, what does it look like in the future? Is Amazon it? Will that be the only retailer?
Yep. Yep.
I think that, what's interesting is the way that Amazon was talking about their Gen AI tools, whether it's Bedrock or, I guess SageMaker was the other one. When you look at those, you're probably already interacting with it in some way, shape, or form. So Amazon Web Services, you're absolutely interacting with it. There are people that are hosting their all their stuff out there on AWS. But when you think about SageMaker or Bedrock, I don't remember which one it was, but basically, they were saying that you can ingest your information from your own internal system, and then it'll create product listings from web pages. So maybe that's already sitting out there on Amazon. You've bought stuff off of it before. It wouldn't surprise me if we've interacted with most of these tools that have been out for a while.
Yeah, the AI stuff we didn't really touch a whole lot on. I don't really understand it at all, and I'm into AI. I'm a premium ChatGPT user, and I like to investigate this stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't gone down the path with, the Q stuff sounds really cool for anybody to use. You don't need to, I don't know, do you need to code anymore? I don't think you need to know how to code anymore, and that was a giant skill you needed to have just a couple of years ago. But that seems overwhelming to me. To get beyond just Amazon.com and the retail stores, getting to AI and all the other stuff just feels not for me.
Well, it was kind of brilliant. I mean, you think about AWS Web Services, which is, the whole point of having a cloud-based service system like that is that you can basically take your server room, the old server room, and it's gone, right? You don't have to upgrade your servers. You don't have to have storage. You don't have to worry about backups. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. You upload it to AWS, and it sits there in the cloud. And then you can actually use their processors to run your processes and things like that. So that's super cool. So they said, here, we're going to do this, and we're going to charge you a nominal fee to do it. We're going to store our computers somewhere in a cold location, and we're going to have billions of banks of them, or whatever the case might be. Well, then they got your data. If you're a company, that data is sitting there. And then they say, okay, well, what can we do to layer that on top of that in order to make, again, this is about the liquid network effect, right? So they've got your data. They said, okay, now we've got the data. What can we do with it? Well, everybody's jumping on the AI bandwagon. So why not do that? So then they're taking tools that you can layer on top of that system, and which is the SageMaker and the Bedrock. And I found it interesting that they've actually got a custom computer chip called Trainium that runs AI. Its architecture is designed to better run AI, just like Apple's architecture is designed to run graphics, right? Or graphics processing, like, where you're doing artwork and things like that. This Trainium chip is designed to run AI. So they've got that on the hardware side, and then they've got the SageMaker in the middle, and then they've got the queue that sits on the top that you can use to pull up all that information and actually write the code. What's next, right? They're going to do the robots, right? They're going to make the robots that come into your house, and they'll harvest your data and create an AI friend out of it. I don't know. Very cool.
I have two quick tidbits, and then I'll let you all get final thoughts if you'd like. Number one is, have you heard of Amazon Mechanical Turk, or MTurk?
Nope.
Okay, that's another product they have that I thought of, that they actually can crowdsource sample for surveys or other cool. Odd tasks. And a lot of academics really use it because it's really inexpensive. You could sign up today, and you can make 10 cents taking a survey, or 25 cents taking a survey, or $1 to go do something. And so that's been around for a while. That's not a lot of people know about it. And the other thing is, I did this a couple years ago. There's the California Consumer Privacy Act, which almost all researchers and marketers understand. And when it came into effect, it stated that if there was a California-based business, a California resident can ask for all the information that they have about you. Mm-hmm. I tested it on January 1st, the day that the law started. And now obviously live in Ohio. I don't live in California, but I tested it. And within 2 weeks, I got all the data that Amazon had on me, including everything I'd ever purchased, all of the movies and things I've rented, everything I bought, and they had a segment profile of me too. I thought it was really fascinating. Awesome. I bet they've kind of cleaned that up somehow, but yeah, you can contact Amazon or any of those California-based tech companies, and they'll tell you everything they know about you.
I think it'd be super cool if you were to post a link to that in the podcast, somewhere in the bio or whatever, because that is pretty neat. I bet people would really enjoy having an easy access to that, because that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also,
I just did it through the help desk. It is a little frightening, absolutely. And surprisingly, not a lot of states have copied that. Eric, any final thoughts? What did we miss today? Anything else you would like to bring us home with?
I mean, look, from a financial perspective, we haven't really covered a lot of the financial aspects of what Amazon published. None of us are really, finance gurus or finance geeks. I mean, CapEx, they mentioned CapEx so many times, 16 times. They mentioned capital in that earnings call. I got to admit, I didn't count them up. I did a search in Word. But, so one of the things that they're really focused on is that investment, as I mentioned, starting at the front end. And, I can't remember which person it was that asked the question about the ramp up period. He said, what we found is that a lot of times you'll do a huge CapEx 1 year, and it'll cost you a lot of money, and then you see those returns down the line. And that's what Amazon is saying is going to happen right now. There's a slow quarter for capital expenditures. Coming into the rest of the year, they're expecting a lot more. And that's expensive. That AI stuff is expensive, and it's going to require a lot of investment for them. But that is an investment. And that's the big thing that I heard, is that they're doing a lot of investment in this stuff. They've got a lot of skunkworks projects. Not all of them will flesh out, but man, they're definitely way more than just a retailer, and the number 2 retailer of bathroom scales.
Soon to be number 1, probably, if they follow that trend. Yeah. Stacey, any final thoughts?
I don't really have anything else to add to what you guys have said here. Just one thing that we didn't really touch on is not just a retailer here in the US, but they're global, right? They're in every market around the world and expanding. And you can see from some of the data that they put out with the earnings call that they are, ramping up in those other countries. So again, they're going to be the one to beat for sure.
That's something I didn't really think about also, is the global presence of them and how impactful it is. And this call was hard to focus on. Like we could have done 6 different podcasts on just Amazon. They're such a giant. So we'd love
You're
feedback on this. If you want us to talk more about earnings calls, less about earnings calls, you want to come on and talk about it, fill in the gaps that we missed, we'd love to have you. Thanks for listening to Durables Digest, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Eric and Stacey.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.